My name is Tyler, and if you're listening to this, then you're about to hear a story to be real. But every word is true. It's about family, betrayal, lies, and ultimately, survival. It all started when I had just turned 18. I was fresh out of high school, standing at the threshold of adulthood, full of dreams. I wanted to go to college, maybe major in business, maybe even start something of my own one day. I wasn't aiming for anything huge, just a decent life, a stable future. I thought I had the support of my family behind me, especially my parents and my sister, Lindsay. I couldn't have been more wrong. It happened almost overnight. The thing that changed everything. One evening after dinner, the house felt tense. Voices were raised. My mom was crying. My dad was shouting. Lindsay was standing in the middle of it all, looking like she was the victim of something terrible. And then I heard it. She accused me of stealing. Not just anything, she said I stole the family jewels. Now these weren't just any pieces of jewelry. They were heirlooms passed down from my grandmother. Sentimental, priceless, and honestly, probably worth quite a bit of money too. I stood there stunned as she wove her story. She said she saw me sneaking into my mother's bedroom, that she saw me pocket the jewelry and run off. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I tried to deny it, but no one would listen. It didn't matter that I had no reason to steal. It didn't matter that I had a part-time job and savings. It didn't even matter that I loved my grandmother and would never disrespect her memory like that. They believed Lindsay. No questions, no investigation. Just anger, disappointment, disgust. And within an hour, I was out on the street with nothing but a backpack of random clothes, thrown away like trash. The first few nights, I crashed at a friend's couch. After that, it was shelters or whatever, places I could find. Sometimes I slept in my car. I used what little money I had saved just to survive. There was no going back. My parents didn't call. They didn't check on me. They didn't care. I was dead to them. I found a job at a warehouse working long hours. The work was backbreaking, but I was grateful just to have it. I rented a small room in the worst part of town, tiny, cold, with a leaky roof, but it was mine. I scrimped and saved every penny. No luxuries, no friends, no fun, just survival. I started taking community college classes online when I could afford them, one course at a time, slowly building a future. No one knew what I was going through. And honestly, I didn't want them to. I was embarrassed, ashamed, alone. 3 years passed. 3 long, grueling years. And then, out of nowhere, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. Something told me to ignore it, but curiosity got the better of me. I answered. It was my mother, crying, begging. "Tyler, please, come home. We need to talk. It's important." Part of me wanted to hang up right then. But another part, the part that still, somehow, hoped for love, agreed to meet them. I went back to my childhood home for the first time in years. It felt alien, smaller, colder. My father sat stiffly on the couch, looking like he'd aged a decade. My mother looked like she hadn't slept in days. And Lindsay wasn't there. Good. Then they told me everything. They had found the missing jewels. Not in some pawn shop, not lost somewhere. Hidden, in a box, under Lindsay's bed. She had taken them. Sold one of the pieces, a ring, for cash to support her secret lifestyle, partying, drinking, who knows what else. When she realized she couldn't cover her tracks, she blamed me. She let them throw me away to save herself. And they believed her. They chose her lies over my truth. And now they wanted forgiveness. Not because they loved me. Not because they regretted what they had done. Because Lindsay had a problem. She had a baby. A newborn child. And no way to care for it. The father was gone. She had dropped out of college. She was living off my parents, draining their savings, and they were desperate. desperate enough to come crawling back to the son they had thrown away. "You're her brother," my mom said, voice trembling with emotion. "The baby is your niece. Family sticks together." I just stared at them. They wanted me to come back, move in, help pay for things, support Lindsay and her baby. They acted like 3 years of betrayal could be erased with a few tears and a guilty conscience. I laughed in their faces. "No," I said. "You made your choice." And I walked out. But they didn't give up. They started calling me, texting me, emailing me. When I blocked them, they showed up at my work. They stood outside the building, shouting for me to come home, telling everyone within earshot that I was selfish and ungrateful. They spread lies about me at my job, tried to sabotage me, said I was a thief, a liar, dangerous. They wanted to break me down until I came crawling back. What they didn't know was that I had been recording everything. Every call, every message, every conversation. Every time they admitted Lindsay was guilty but insisted I should do the right thing anyway. I built a case. I took everything I had collected, the calls, the texts, the emails, and went to a lawyer. It wasn't cheap. I had to dip into almost all the savings I had scraped together over the last 3 years, but it was worth every single penny. We filed for a restraining order against my parents and Lindsay. And when we got to court, I didn't just come armed with accusations. I came with proof. Audio recordings of my mother sobbing into the phone saying, "We know Lindsay." Lied, but you have to understand, she's family. Screenshots of Lindsay texting me, "Sorry, bro, but you know how it is. Mom and Dad would have killed me if they knew." Voicemails from my father screaming at me to man up and take responsibility. And when I played those recordings in front of the judge, I watched their faces crumble. They tried to lie, of course. Tried to say I was making it all up. But the evidence was too overwhelming. In the end, the judge granted a full restraining order. They were forbidden from contacting me in any form. They couldn't come near my home. They couldn't come near my workplace. The court also ruled that their harassment had caused me emotional distress and financial hardship. They were ordered to pay me damages, enough to cover my legal fees, lost wages, and then some. It wasn't about the money. It was about the principle. They had treated me like garbage, thrown me out when I was most vulnerable. And now, they were paying the price. And Lindsay? The court didn't just stop at the harassment charges because of her neglect and unstable living situation. Child Protective Services got involved. They investigated her. They found a trail of irresponsibility, unpaid rent, missed doctor's appointments for the baby, unsafe living conditions. The court ruled that she was unfit to be a mother. The child, my niece, was taken into state custody, placed with a foster family, a family that would actually care for her, a family that wouldn't use and abuse others to avoid responsibility. After that, everything changed. The calls stopped. The stalking stopped. The lies stopped. My parents? I heard they moved out of town, ashamed and bitter. Lindsay? Last I heard, she bounced from place to place, blaming everyone but herself for her problems. But me? I was finally free. I rebuilt my life from the ashes they left behind. I moved to a different city, far enough away that I could breathe. I got a better job, working in marketing and freelance graphic design. I finished my degree online. I made friends who actually cared about. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. I even started dating again.
Slowly learning to trust, learning that not everyone would betray me. I found a tiny apartment with sunlight pouring through the windows. I adopted a dog, a scruffy little mutt named Leo, who became my best friend. I built a life that they could
never touch. One that they would never understand. Sometimes late at night I would think about the past. Think about the little boy who just wanted to be loved, who trusted too easily, who thought family meant something. But I wasn't that boy anymore. I was a man who had been through hell and clawed his way out, and I wasn't going back. Not ever. Because sometimes family isn't blood. Sometimes family is the people who show up when the world turns its back on you, the ones who stand beside you even when you have nothing to offer, the ones who don't demand loyalty in exchange for love. I learned that the hard way, but I learned it. And in the end, I didn't just survive, thrived. But slowly, it helped me untangle all the guilt, the anger, the confusion. I learned something important. Their betrayal wasn't my fault. Their choices, their lies, that was on them, not me. And just like that, the weight I'd been carrying for so long started to lift. I went back to school taking night classes. I got certified in project management, something I had always been interested in but never thought I was good enough for. Turns out, I was better than good enough. Within a year, I landed a great job at a construction management firm. Good pay, supportive coworkers, a boss who actually respected me. I even made new friends, people who didn't know anything about my past, who liked me for me. And for the first time, I started imagining a future. Not just surviving day to day, but actually living. Meanwhile, my old family kept spiraling. Word spread around town about what had happened. People started talking. They weren't the victims anymore. Everyone saw them for what they really were. They lost friends, support from the community, opportunities they once took for granted. Lindsay struggled, bouncing from job to job. She couldn't keep steady work. Every bridge she crossed, she eventually burned. As for my parents, they grew bitter, lonely. Without me there to blame for everything wrong in their lives, they had to finally face the truth. They had chosen the wrong side. And it cost them everything. One night, about a year after the restraining order was issued, I got an email. It was from my mother. Just a few lines. "We're sorry for everything. Please come home. We miss you." I stared at the screen for a long time. There was a part of me, the old Tyler, that wanted to respond, to hope that maybe things could be different. But then I remembered. Everything, the lies, the betrayal, the nights spent alone, the years lost. I closed the email, deleted it, and I never looked back. Today, I'm stronger than I've ever been. Not because of them, but because of what I survived. I built a life they can't touch. I found a peace they'll never understand. And when people ask me about my family, I just smile and say, sometimes the best family is the one you build yourself, because in the end, I didn't lose them. They lost me. It's been 5 years since the court ordered them out of my life. Sometimes it feels like a different lifetime. Sometimes it still feels like yesterday. But now, I'm not the same person. They threw away. Today I live in a beautiful townhouse on the edge of the city. I have a career I love, managing large-scale projects, leading teams, building things that matter. I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm thriving. I met someone special a few years ago, someone who knows my story and loves me even more for it. We got married in a small, quiet ceremony by the ocean. Just us and a handful of people who truly care. No drama, no lies, no betrayal, just love. We even adopted a dog, a goofy golden retriever who follows me around everywhere like a shadow. For the first time, my home feels safe, warm, real. I occasionally hear whispers about my old family. Lindsay moved out of state, still bouncing from to relationship, job to job. My parents? They sold the family house and downsized, retreating into their own little world of regret. They still try to reach out sometimes. A card on my birthday. A message around Christmas. I don't answer. Not because I'm angry anymore, but because I made a promise to myself. I will never again let people who hurt me decide my worth. Sometimes life hands you pain so sharp it feels like it'll tear you apart, but sometimes that pain carves out space inside you. Space to grow. Space to rebuild. Space to become someone stronger, wiser, and braver than you ever thought possible. I'm proof of that. My story isn't about what I lost. It's about what I found. Freedom, self-worth, and a future I chose for myself. And if you're listening to this, if you're struggling with your own battles, please remember, sometimes walking away isn't weakness. It's the greatest act of strength you'll ever have. Thank you for being part of my story. Stay strong, stay true, and never let anyone make you doubt your worth.